Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're looking at the factory type of town, which is part of the new add-on. Well, it's not a new add-on, but it's part of the HD Plus add-on for Heroes of Might and Magic 3. Again, this is a free add-on. It's available for download, and it really adds a few things to the game that I think make it quite enjoyable. So today, one of the two new town types that we're going to look at is the factory. And so I've played this game now for, as you can see at the bottom here, a few weeks, just to build up the entire town and to have one of every unit type, so we can take a look at that. So the factory type town is kind of like a tinker town, so it's about mechanicals, and so that's the type of units that we're going to see, which is rather interesting for Heroes of Might and Magic, which has taken more of a traditional RPG look, with wizards and goblins. So this one is a little bit different, and I quite like it. So in terms of the town abilities, they're going to be the same as a lot of the other towns, at least for the first two levels. You have your citadels and your castles, and you want to build up. You want to build up your treasury up to a capital if possible. You have your standard tavern and blacksmith. The blacksmith for the factory town produces ammo carts, so nothing kind of new there. And the resource silo produces crystals, which you'll see. The one thing that's unique about the factory town over the other types of towns that you can build is that they actually have two level 4 creatures, and that is the Serpentarium and the Gantry. So you can build one or the other or both if you'd like. But as you can see, in any particular town, you can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 unit types. But this would give you 8 unit types if you tried to buy all of them. So, but it does give you that advantage of having all higher level creatures, perhaps, which is useful. But you still produce the same amount of money as any other location. Mage Guild is standard. By the way, there are no new spells with HD Plus. There are some new skills and some new creature types from the two new towns, but there's no new spells. And we'll take a look at those new skills and new equipment that's available with the HD Plus in another video. The mana generator, I think it's a bit of a weak building, to be honest. It provides 20 additional spell points, as you can see here, to any hero who's under siege here in the town. So that's pretty limited. I mean, you're talking about one high-level spell maybe benefit, and that's really about it. So I really don't see the benefit of that particular build. Artifact Merchant is standard with all the other artifact merchants. The pen produces additional armadillos. You can see it's the same graphic as the upgraded ranch. We'll take a look at that in a second, but this is going to produce additional armadillos every week. And they're the bellwether armadillos. So those are level 1 armadillos. The bank is a unique building type. I personally don't use it, but what it does is it gives you the ability to borrow 25 or 100 gold at one time, which you'll repay back over the next subsequent 5 days. Again, I don't find it very useful, except in the situation where you're about to be attacked. You need as much money as possible to try to buy all the troops you can within the town to try to fend off that attack. So maybe at that point you would use it. But otherwise, personally, I've never used it, and so I don't think that's a particularly great one to use. In terms of the unit types, these have all been upgraded, but the halfling adobe is basically halflings, and upgraded ones are grenadiers. We'll take a look at each of these unit types once we get out of here. But we have foundries. Foundries produce engineers, and we'll look at what those do. The ranches, these are your armadillos. They're similar to a dwarf type creature. They're an attack, melee attack, but heavy defense type creature. And they have a better movement score than a dwarf. The manufactory produces sentinels. They're automatons. These have some unique abilities, which we'll look at. And also Catacombs then are your next level 3 character. And these produce essentially what looks like a sandworm. And so the upgraded version of that as well, some additional unique abilities. We'll take a look at all these. Um, the Watchtower, I think, is probably one of the most interesting new units that are introduced in the HD Plus bundle. Um, it is, as you can see here, a level 3 creature. Um, I would say it is by far one of the best ranged, if not the best ranged unit in the game now. And we'll take a look at their specific skills and why they are. And then there's two, as I said, there's two level 4 creatures. Um, the first being a Serpentarium. It's basically you can think of it as a desert dragon or a dragon type, but it doesn't have a breath weapon. We'll take a look at what his special abilities are. Reasonably decent. Um, I would put it into maybe the same category as the behemoths are for the other town types that are available. Whereas the mechanical unit, the gantry, is probably the one that's the more interesting one, and we'll get to perhaps a strategy as to why you might want this one because it's essentially a mechanic um, type of unit, and it has some special abilities. But when combined with some other unit types that you have available to you, this could be a strategic advantage to have the Juggernauts versus having the Serpentarian. And so looking at those specific types, I've got one of each just to show you. The Halfling isn't really special. So I'm going to click on this way so you can see the difference between the level 1 and level 2 creature. Um, it's just the lower end. It's like a gremlin in terms of the weakness. They have low health. They do little damage. They're not very fast, but you get quite a few of them and they're inexpensive to buy. The upgraded version has a little bit better capability. Again, they tend to have luck automatically kicks in. Um, the benefit of the upgraded one is that it does ignore the enemy's defense skill, which when used against higher level creatures that have significant defense, well, it could make a big difference. So there's that unit. The next unit is the engineer. Now there's two levels of engineers, mechanics and then engineers. Um, but I'm just going to look at the engineers. This unit, its specific benefit is two things. One, has a breath attack, so it can actually hit multiple squares. The breath attack, it looks like a flamethrower. That is kind of what it is. But the unique advantage that I like about this unit, because they're relatively inexpensive creatures to create, is that they can repair any of your automatons. And so essentially resurrecting them. If you have enough of these, because it will do 20 hit points of healing per engineer in your stack. And if the healing, if you have a bunch of, deceased, if you will, automatons, it will actually repair them and revive them. And so, of course, the two automatons that exist in the game are going to be the Sentinels and these Juggernauts. So you could use some very low level creatures to help revive some level 4 creatures. I think that's a pretty good benefit to have. Um, Now, looking at the bellwethers, the armadillos, the only difference really between the first and second level ones is the speed. You can see the defense, attack skill, the damage, the health. The damage and the health is the same. Better attack skill, better defense skill, and they're faster. I liken them more to dwarves, um, but they're faster. So they have a little bit better hit points. They're faster than dwarves, but they're kind of similar in their capability. Now, the unique ability of the automatons, and there's two levels of them, as you can see here. The main difference is the level 2. The Sentinels have a little bit more damage they do, and they're faster. But the unique ability of both is that they can be enabled to detonate at death. And so they'll explode um, and damage anything around them. As well, you could revive them because they're mechanical. You could use the engineers to repair and revive them. And so we can look at that. But the big thing is detonation. So obviously that will also hurt your units if you're right beside them, so you don't want to be right beside them if you use that ability. Also, if you do detonate them, I don't believe that they're revivable. So you couldn't then move your engineers over and try to revive them. Though I haven't tried that, so maybe we'll have to try that. The next creature, you can see sandworms, the upgraded one. I'm not even going to try to say that. Olgi, let's just call them Olgies. I like these creatures because they're fairly strong creatures, number one. They do decent damage. They have really fast speed, so they're one of the first units to move. Um, I would say maybe not as good as some of the other level 3 creatures that are available in the game. But what I do like about this one is number one, they're immune to a blind. Number two, because they move underground, they can actually cross over the walls of a castle or a citadel during a siege. So just similar to having a flying creature, these guys can go underneath. The other thing they can do is if they're hurt, or even if they're not, if you put them over top of a corpse that's on the battlefield, um, adjacent to an attack you're making, then they will eat the corpse and give them an extra attack in the same round. So I do think that that is a pretty cool capability, especially in some of the bigger battles. Now, to my favorite unit in the HD Plus add-on pack is the Bounty Hunter. I think, in terms of ranged unit types, this is probably the most powerful unit type out there. They're expensive. You can see here, they're not an inexpensive acquisition. The lower level version is the Gunslinger. And you can see they've got good speed, good health, good damage, good attacks. Um, and it's even more so for the Bounty Hunter. But the nice thing is that both of them have this, a preemptive shot, and they have unlimited preemptive shots. This ranged unit against other ranged units is almost unbeatable. So what will happen is if you are attacked by another ranged unit against the Bounty Hunter will preemptively get a free shot on that creature and damage or kill however many of them before their shot takes place. So it's a huge advantage. And it's not just once. If you're attacked 3 times in the same round by 3 different ranged units, you will preemptively shoot each of those 3 units. So the damage is good from these guys. Their shot count is really high. Their health is good, and they're fast. So certainly for me, this is probably it's definitely the best ranged unit, but it's also probably one of the more powerful units. And then finally, we get to the Coils, and there's 2 levels of these. Their unique ability is really the same. They both get to fly. They don't have as much health or damage as dragons typically. They don't have a breath weapon, so it's a melee attack. But the one unique feature they have is invulnerability. So for 1 round, you're able to enable the invulnerability skill, and that will make it so that this creature cannot actually be hit in that round by anything. And the difference between the level 1 and level 2 version of these is that the level 2 version, when you enable that feature, you can also attack in that same round, whereas the level 1, you can't attack in the same round that you enable that invulnerability, and the invulnerability only lasts for 1 turn. So it's a one and done capability, which I think is a bit limiting, but anyway, it's you'll see. And then finally, the second automaton or mech unit that's available in this town is the Juggernaut. To me, the Juggernaut is a lot like the Behemoth in terms of health and speed and damage. Now, it's one of the slowest level 4 creatures in the game. So even the upgraded one only has a speed of 5. It can't traverse the entirety of the screen. So it's a little bit slower, has a little bit less range than the Behemoth, but otherwise the damage and the health is pretty much the same. And it has a unique ability, which is called the Heat Stroke attack. And we'll take a look at what all of these creatures have as attacks on the battlefield. We'll take a look at that. But keep in mind, the benefit here is that engineers can revive and repair them. So if you think about the fact you have 300 health, and you think about the fact if we open the engineer, they heal 20, Basically, if you have 15 engineers, you could heal one of those. 15 is not a lot. I mean, you're talking 2,000 gold to get 15. There's quite a few here, so you could really revive quite a few of these guys in pretty good fashion, which is very, very handy if you are really concerned about maintaining a high number of level 4 creatures. Okay, so the two types of units as well. You have mercenaries, which are your hand-to-hand type heroes in the game, is new specifically for factories, and artificers. So these are tinkers. They're the magic user type unit for the factories as well. So we have one of each of those. Just to show you what some of these creatures look like in battle and their specific capabilities, to demonstrate them, we're going to attack this set of rocks. We're going to do manual battle instead of automated battle. And so we're going to start with our high-end creatures. And as I said, actually, let's just give the enemy the chance to do everything first, and then we'll go through everybody from the lower end down. And we have a cannon unit type, which you may have not seen before. So cannons, they're actually unique to the Cove, Pirate Cove type unit of town, I should say. But you can also buy these in and around the map at cannon yards, which is a new building type that you'll see on the map that'll allow you to buy these. Again, this is our armadillos. They're just a straight up melee attack type unit. So let's just go and hit this guy. The other thing I want to show you, engineer, he's not going to do anything, but if you take a look, you'll see at the bottom of the screen, it tells you how much damage they'll do and how many units they would kill if they attacked. So that's, I think, new. I don't remember seeing that in some of the older versions of Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I'm just going to move these guys. The Juggernaut has this capability, which is attack with a heat stroke. And you can see if you click that, it's not a ranged attack. It's a frontal attack, but it damages all the units that are in the shaded octagons. Okay, in all those hex squares, I should say, it's going to damage them. So it's a pretty good multi-unit type of damage attack. We're just going to manually attack this guy for now. And do that because I have to move. You can't move and use that attack. So it's only good once you're up beside the unit you want to attack. This is our bounty hunter. He's got a great range attack. You can see here he's going to kill 2 to 4 of these, 3 to 4 of these, 3 to 5, 1 to 2. We're going to cast a spell just to keep things interesting. But let's hit this guy here. You can see we killed 3. The automaton, he has the special attack of detonation. So you'll see a little icon over here to activate. So for anything that has a special ability, this is a special ability activation square. You should see something in here. So if I would like him to explode, should he be killed, and it has to be the whole stack, not just any individual, I'm going to enable that, and then I'm going to come in and do my attack. This is our worm. He doesn't really have a special attack per se. There are no corpses on the battlefield, so let's just come in and attack. And you can see how he went underground and popped back up. He can bypass any kind of terrain issues there are, like this valley. He can pass over a wall, etc. This is the Kodal, and he has the invulnerability, and so you can see his special ability is here. So if he pushes that, you can see he changed kind of this glowing color. He's invulnerable. Nothing can really hurt him. He can just come over here, do his attack. There's no retaliation against him. But then you can see his color changed. He no longer has that immortality or invulnerability. So he's going to just continue his attack. But now you can see there was a retaliation against him. And that's kind of expected. So we'll just continue our little fight, see how we do. This, of course, is our ranged guy. He's not going to do anything for now. I'm just going to wait. Let's test out this special attack from him. You can see that. It's kind of cool what that looks like. And let's just get in there and finish those guys off, and our cannon finished off the rest. So that's it. Here's the canyon yard that I mentioned. It's a new building type where it allows you to go and purchase cannons. The cannon's pretty cool. It's got a pretty decent damage and health, but the nice thing about it is it's like a ballista and a catapult all in one. So on the battlefield, it'll be used just like a ballista and shoot enemies, but when you're sieging a town, it can be used to either shoot enemies or attack the walls, and just like your catapult does. So it gives you an extra catapult attack, if you will, which is also very, very handy. And that's it for today. That's a review of the factory type of town when you've added the HD3, or sorry, HD Plus pack to expansion pack to the Heroes of Might and Magic 3 game. Go out and check it out. If you just search for it, you'll find the link, or if you look at our first video in this series, we do post the link in the comment section for that free download. Check back again soon.